Hi, and welcome back to Gardog the Gamorrean Star Wars Miniatures Tutorials. In this video, we are going to have a look at abilities that replace attacks, replace turns and those which leave the target considered activated. Any special ability that mentions replaces attacks in the description means that if you elected to use this ability, you can't also attack in the same turn. However, it in no way affects how far a character can move on their turn. It simply takes the place of attacking. An example of this would be the Grenade's 10 special ability. The act of throwing a grenade would take the place of making a standard attack during a character's turn, which means that if a character has this ability, they now have additional options on their turn, as well as the standard move and then attack. Attack and then move. Move without attacking. Attack without moving. Or do nothing at all. This character has an additional 3 options. They could move and then throw the grenade. Throw the grenade and then move. Or throw the grenade and don't move. Now that we understand the replaces attacks part of the description, let's look at the rest of it, as there are a couple of other important parts. Firstly, range 6. This means we can only target an enemy up to 6 squares away. And keep in mind that the enemy must still be a legal target. Next, the grenade deals 10 damage to the target, and also to any character that occupies a square adjacent to the target. It doesn't matter if the adjacent character is an enemy or an ally of the character using the grenade's ability. All characters adjacent to the target are included. And the last part of the description is save 11. I quickly mentioned it in my last video when discussing the evade special ability, but let's have a better look at it. Anytime a character is required to make a save, they will roll the 20-sided die. To be a successful save, they must roll the designated number or higher. In the example of Grenade's 10, we must roll an 11 or higher to avoid the 10 damage. And be aware that the target, and each character adjacent to that target, will separately make a save attempt to avoid the damage. Let's look at an example of using the Grenade's 10 special ability and how it can affect multiple characters. Here we have a clone trooper grenadier, and he wants to target a super battle droid with a grenade. The super battle droid is only 4 squares away and is the nearest enemy, so it's a legal target. If the clone trooper grenadier used his Grenade's 10 ability, the super battle droid would roll their save, and then, followed in any order chosen by the player controlling the targeted character, each of the 2 battle droids. And then the Jedi Knight, who is an ally of the clone trooper. With an ability like Grenade's 10, we must target an enemy. We can't target an empty square. But keeping in mind that as we are targeting an enemy, if the target enemy was large or huge, it is possible that many more characters could be adjacent, and therefore, subject to the grenade ability and need to save to avoid taking the damage. Make sure you read all descriptions carefully. For instance, with Grenade's 10, it clearly says replaces attacks, not replaces an attack. Using this ability replaces all attacks of that character in a turn. Even if a character has double attack or twin attack, they can only use the grenade's ability once per turn, and they can't make any other attack. Now that we've covered abilities that replace attacks, let's look at replaces turn. If an ability's description mentions replaces turn, it means that if the character chooses to use that ability, they can't do anything else on their turn. They can't move, attack, or use any special ability that replaces attacks in this turn. An example of an ability that replaces turn is charging assault plus 10. Rather than taking their normal turn, this character can instead move up to twice their speed, and then make an attack, and receive plus 10 damage provided they attack an adjacent enemy. One important thing to note with this one is that the description clearly says that you can move and then attack. You don't get the plus 10 damage if you attack first and then move, and also, you couldn't move up to twice your speed after attacking. The third thing I want to cover in this video is when a special ability can cause a character to be considered activated. when a character is considered activated, it means that if that character hasn't activated yet this round, they are now treated as if they have, and they won't have a turn. If the character had already activated in the round, this part of the ability would have no effect. Being considered activated only lasts until the end of this round, so an affected character can activate as normal next round. An example of an ability with this effect is the bounty hunter Bush's paralysis. If Bush makes a successful attack against a living or non-droid character, the enemy is considered activated this round, unless they successfully make a save. To put a real-world take on this special ability, the enemy would be temporarily paralyzed, and therefore unable to move or attack this round. And as we are already looking at one of Bush's special abilities, let's take a look at his stats card, as there are a couple of other interesting things to note. He has the Bounty Hunter +2 ability, rather than the normal +4, and, rather than the recently mentioned Grenades 10 ability, he has Grenades 40. And in case you hadn't already realized, his paralysis ability only applies to his attack. It would not apply to his Grenades 40 ability, as that is not considered an attack. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video where we'll take a look at using the Force.